I'm going to walk you through the Generac 26kW whole home generator and try to cut through the noise so you can decide whether it's actually a sensible investment for your household. I've spent the past week talking to a handful of installers, reading the technical sheets, and looking at what people who've already taken the plunge are saying about reliability and cost. My goal here is to give you a clear picture of the everyday reality, what it's like to have a generator the size of a small car parked on your driveway, how it behaves when the grid goes down, and whether the promised lowest total cost of ownership holds up once you factor in installation, fuel, and upkeep. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's acknowledge the hesitation most of us feel when we start talking about a whole home generator. You're looking at a big-ticket item, the kind of equipment you usually only consider after a severe storm or a blackout that lasts more than a few hours. The big questions are, will it actually keep the lights on when I need them? Will it run my essential appliances without tripping? And, perhaps most importantly, am I paying for a feature set I'll never use? Those are the concerns that keep people from pulling the trigger, and they're the ones I'm going to address. The Generac 26kW model is positioned as a whole house solution, meaning it's rated to supply enough power for a typical 500 square foot home, including heating or cooling systems, kitchen appliances, and even laundry. In practice, that translates into roughly 104 amp service at 240 V. For most families, that covers the critical loads: refrigerator, furnace, water heater, lights, and a few outlets for phones and laptops. If you're running a bigger HVAC system, or you have electric car chargers, a pool pump, and a workshop that draws a lot of power, you might be stretching that capacity. In the field, I've seen homeowners who keep a sensible load list: fridge, furnace, a few circuits for essential lighting, and perhaps a well pump, experience seamless transition when the utility fails. The generator kicks in within seconds, and most users report that the system doesn't hiccup: no sudden voltage drops, no flickering lights. That quick, clean transfer is one of the real-world strengths that the marketing sheet glosses over. The built-in cellular communication module is one of the more talked-about features. What that actually means is that the generator can send you alerts on your phone when it's running, when it needs service, or if there's a fault. For a homeowner who isn't an electrician, that remote monitoring adds a layer of peace of mind. I asked a couple of installers about false alarms, and they told me that while the system does generate a few maintenance due notifications each year, those are generally just reminders to change the oil or inspect the fuel filter, nothing that turns into a costly repair. Now, let's talk about the hidden trade-offs. First, the fuel source. The 26kW unit runs on natural gas, which is great if you already have a gas line on your property. That means you don't have to worry about storing gallons of diesel, and the running cost is usually lower per kilowatt. However, many suburban homes are only connected to municipal gas, and installing a dedicated natural gas line for a generator can add a few $1,000s to the total project cost. If you're on a propane-only setup, conversion kits exist, but they add both expense and a layer of complexity, especially if you need to ensure proper gas pressure. This is a practical consideration that often gets swept under the blanket of low total cost of ownership. The real cost of ownership for a gas-fueled model includes the upfront gas line work, periodic fuel line inspections, and the cost of the gas itself, which can fluctuate with market conditions. Installation is another area where expectations clash with reality. The generator itself weighs around 2,500 pounds, so the siting has to account for structural support and local code requirements. A professional installer will need to secure a concrete pad, run the transfer switch, and integrate the cellular module. Most reviewers I talked to said the installation process took roughly 2 days from start to finish, assuming no unexpected site issues. For a DI-oriented buyer, that's a significant commitment, particularly if you're hoping to avoid a contractor's labor costs. In short, this isn't a weekend project you can just bolt down yourself without professional help. Performance in the field seems to be living up to Generac's reputation for superior reliability. The unit is equipped with an automatic voltage regulator that maintains clean power output even when the load changes abruptly, say, a dishwasher starting while the furnace is still running. Users I spoke with mentioned that they've never experienced a brownout during a power outage, which is a common pain point with smaller, portable generators that can't balance multiple hydro devices. That reliability is a tangible benefit, especially for households that can't afford to lose refrigeration or heating for more than a few minutes. On the downside, the